Next on the news, Senate lawmakers fail in making access to abortions a federal law. We'll hear from the New York bishops about this latest development. Also, reaction from around the world coming in over the arrest of Archbishop Emeritus Joseph Zen in Hong Kong. And
it's hard trying to balance, what you need and what you want.
Americans forced to make tough choices because of skyrocketing prices for essential goods. Plus,
we received cards from 41 states, and I want to get through all the states.
A World War II veteran and Tuskegee airman gets his request for birthday cards answered in a big way. I'm Christine Persichetti. Currents News starts right now. It won't be until next month when we get the official word from the Supreme Court on the fate of Roe v. Wade. But after the leaked draft opinion, Democratic lawmakers rushed to try and make the right to an abortion a federal law. They failed. Protests continue around the country as the fate of Roe v. Wade hangs in the balance. On Wednesday, the U.S. Senate rejected a bill aimed at preserving access to abortion nationwide.
The motion is not agreed to.
As expected, all Republicans and one Democrat, Senator Joe Manchin, opposed the bill. U.S. bishops were relieved, saying in a statement, more than 60 million unborn children have already lost their lives to abortion, and countless women suffer from the physical and emotional trauma of abortion. This radical bill would add millions more to that tragic toll. 3 Republicans had proposed a narrower bill that wouldn't force doctors to perform abortions if it goes against their beliefs.
Show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
If the Supreme Court strikes down Roe v. Wade, as the leaked draft opinion suggests, abortion rights would be left to individual states. If that happens, the landscape of abortion access will become a sporadic patchwork of different laws. This is what the country would look like, according to an analysis by the Guttmacher Institute, a group supporting abortion rights. 16 states and the District of Columbia have laws protecting abortion rights, but at least 26 states are ready or will likely move to outlaw abortion access. 13 of those states have so-called trigger laws designed to immediately ban abortions if Roe v. Wade is overturned.
I would love for there to be all states where abortion didn't exist in our country. I realize that's not where we're headed.
Teresa Sadler is the director of an East Texas clinic offering counseling and medical services to pregnant women and alternatives to abortion. She says she was inspired to do this work because when she was 19, she had an abortion, a choice she regrets. Last year, Texas lawmakers passed a law banning abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy.
What we see is a lot of our women, once that is decided to be illegal, it goes off the table for them. They're rule followers, for lack of a better word. So if abortion's not an option, it isn't an option in her head.
The Supreme Court justices met Thursday for the first time since that unprecedented leak, as an internal investigation into who the source of the leak is now underway. The bishops of New York State weighing in on the pro-life fight, including Brooklyn's Bishop Robert Brennan and Archdiocese of New York's Cardinal Timothy Dolan. In a new statement just out, the bishops say they want to work towards a New York that even if abortion is legal, the procedure itself is unthinkable. Here is some of what they envision. A New York where a woman doesn't feel she has no choice but to abort. A New York where if a woman does get an abortion, her pain is acknowledged and she's given the services she needs to heal. A New York where access to quality prenatal care and healthy birth outcomes is available no matter who or where you are. A New York where quality childcare is affordable and accessible for all. And a New York where religious organizations can provide needed services to pregnant women and moms while remaining true to the tenets of their faith. On top of all that, the bishops reaffirmed a pledge that was first made by the late Cardinal John O'Connor in the 1980s. Any woman, regardless of age, religious belief, or affiliation, marital status, or immigration status who is pregnant and in need can come to the Catholic Church, and we will give you the services and supports you need to carry your baby to term, regardless of your ability to pay. Furthermore, we will not abandon you and your baby after delivery, but rather we will see to it that you have the resources that you and your child both need and deserve. They are asking every parish, Catholic Charities Program, Catholic Health Facility, Catholic school, and every religious community to take part in this pastoral effort. And in keeping with that effort, the bishops have launched a new pregnancy resources page. Just go to nyscatholic.org/help for moms. This page will be continually updated with new resources. And to read the bishop's full statement, just go to thetablet.org and we'll have that, plus all the information on resources for you there. With the battle over abortion raging nationwide, bishops across the United States are inviting believers to unite in fasting and prayer. Catholics from east to west are being asked to pray the Rosary tomorrow, Friday, May 13th, the memorial of Our Lady of Fatima. Archbishop Jose Gomez is requesting that everyone who takes part offer their prayers for these intentions: for our nation, for the overturning of Roe v. Wade, for the conversion of hearts and minds for those who advocate for abortion, for a new commitment to building an America where children are cherished and cared for, and for our Blessed Mother's intercession. While inflation slowed down in April, it's still near record highs. Americans are struggling to afford necessities like food, gas, and housing. As Brian Todd reports, some are making hard choices about what they can and can't live without.
At a grocery store in Northeast D.C., shoppers are more than a little fed up with food prices.
It's hard. It's hard trying to balance, what you need and what you want.
Everything from soda to meats to vegetables. Everything's just increased.
According to new government figures, annual inflation did ease off a bit last month, but is still near a 40-year high. Prices rising 8.3% for the year ending in April, slightly lower than the 8.5% rise through March. And food was one of the biggest factors, along with shelter. In just a month, meat, poultry, fish, and eggs went up 1.4%, with eggs by themselves spiking 10.3%. What have you noticed most has gone up?
Yeah, it would be the eggs, because a while ago they were very cheap.
And housing costs for renters and owners went up 0.5% for the third month in a row. Consumers taking a big hit each month.
The typical American household is spending $450 more now than a year ago to buy the same goods and services, and that's because of the higher inflation. So this is incredibly painful.
Gas prices dipped last month, but are now back to setting records. The national average for regular at $4.40 a gallon, up $1.40 since a year ago.
Every day you drive by, it's one price, and within a matter of hours, it'll jump up again.
Analysts say with inflation this high, millions of American families already struggling to make ends meet due to the pandemic may still have to make tough choices.
It really will mean that some people might actually have to skip a meal. Maybe, they can't feed their children the way they want to. They will perhaps not be able to cover their rent or all of their rent.
But on the bright side, at least one top economist says there could be relief in sight.
Inflation is peaking. I think the painfully high inflation is due to the pandemic and to the Russian invasion. If those things don't go off the rails, then I think we will see inflation lowered by the end of the year and certainly by this time next year.
That was Brian Todd reporting. Mark Zandi says the price of food will likely remain high, but he says the price of gasoline and new cars should start coming down soon as some of the supply chain issues get ironed out. The Biden administration condemning the arrest of Hong Kong Archbishop Emeritus Joseph Zen. The cardinal is reportedly free on bail now, but he was taken into custody in Hong Kong yesterday on charges of collusion with foreign forces over his support for the pro-democracy movement and protests. And reaction is pouring in today. The Diocese of Hong Kong said, "We urge the Hong Kong police and the judicial authorities to handle Cardinal Zen's case in accordance with justice, taking into consideration our concrete human situation." And Bishop Thomas Tobin from the Diocese of Providence tweeted, "Pray for Cardinal Joseph Zen, 90 years of age, who has been unjustly arrested by the Chinese communists, and for all those in the world who suffer for their Catholic faith." May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and to celebrate, New York City is holding a parade in Manhattan this weekend. The big event will kick off this Sunday, May 15th in Midtown at 6th Avenue and West 44th Street. New York City is the home of the second largest Asian American and Pacific Islander population in the United States. Since the start of the pandemic, the city has seen an uptick in race-based crimes against Asian New Yorkers. St. Michael's in Flushing is teaching its students about Asian languages, history, and culture, spreading positive information to combat the hate. Jessica Easthope visited the school and got a first-hand look at their program.
Seeing the world through Teresa Shue's eyes. At 11 years old, it consists of family, school, church, and friends. But she's not blind to the hate that's directed at people who look like her.
With all this craziness going on, some people starts to relate this pandemic towards Asians, creating Asian hate.
At Teresa's school, St. Michael's Catholic Academy in Flushing, she gets to be totally herself, proudly Chinese and Catholic.
I can learn both about my religion and study deeper about it, while still having my Chinese roots and keeping a part of it as well.
The school is 70% Asian, but regardless of ethnicity, students have just as many classes in Mandarin as they do in English. They learn Asian history and culture. It's a safe haven from the bigotry sometimes found on New York City streets.
So many of the children come to school with their grandparents. And, you know, are they going to be targeted? What are they learning? We're teaching peace here. We're teaching acceptance. And what they see outside, it contradicts what we're about.
Sister Mary Ruan, the coordinator for Chinese outreach at the school, says she's never experienced religious freedom before coming to the United States. And this recent rash of hate crimes brings her back to the days when she felt she needed to hide who she was.
In Fujian, it's very difficult. Currently, very difficult.
But when new families enroll at the school, Sister Mary makes them feel at home.
I always introduce myself. If they see I speak Chinese, they feel comfortable.
At St. Michael's, education is the response. It's hoping to grow a community where Asian culture, language, and values are celebrated, not hated. In Flushing, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
He's a priest, the vicar for development, an FDNY chaplain, and now he's Maimonides' newest nurse. Monsignor Jamie Gigantiello of the Diocese of Brooklyn joined several prominent community leaders Wednesday to serve as honorary nurses for a day. After a brief orientation, each volunteer was paired with a registered nurse to work together to provide excellent care to patients throughout the Brooklyn Medical Center, and I'm sure he did a great job. There's a lot more news headed your way. North Korea now under a nationwide lockdown as the country confirms its first COVID outbreak. And a Catholic journalist shot and killed in the West Bank. Thousands turn out to mourn the death of Al Jazeera's Shireen Abu Akleh. Plus, it was a slice of gratitude that melted a waitress's heart. The shocking surprise that made a single mom's Mother's Day. Weeks before that Supreme Court document on Roe v. Wade was leaked, a funeral was held in D.C. for more than 100 aborted babies. The Catholic priest who presided over that funeral mass, Father Bill Kuczynski, joins us now. Thanks for being here, Father Bill.
Glad to be with you. Thanks for having me.
So first, tell us, what was it like saying a funeral for 115 aborted babies?
Well, it was a beautiful time because the people who were present at the funeral loved these children. And in doing the funeral, I was giving them the most the church could give them in the circumstance. So it was a beautiful time.
Your Bishop, Mark Brennan of the Diocese of Wheeling, Charleston in West Virginia, released a statement supporting what you did. Let's read it. Father William Kuczynski's mass for and burial of around 100 children aborted at a Washington, D.C. abortion facility follow a long Christian tradition of practicing the corporal work of mercy for the dead, honoring their physical remains and burying them with love. I fully approve Father Kuczynski's caring actions. They remind us that these were real human children, not lifeless things until their lives were unjustly taken from them. Were you concerned at all that you wouldn't get that support from your bishop?
I don't know that that was a thought at the moment. The thought was that these babies deserved a burial, and that was my main focus. I'm very happy the bishop supported me, of course, and he is known to be one that stands for life.
So one of the women who obtained the aborted babies from a waste truck outside a clinic was arrested in connection to this case. Did that make you apprehensive at all about saying the funeral?
Well, she was not arrested directly with regard to the case of receiving the babies. That was a case that was from 2 years ago that a grand jury found there was cause to indict her. And also I received the children before the arrest, but certainly it kind of pushed forward whatever timing in terms of getting these babies into the ground. It did kind of put a little rush on that.
So how was this whole experience? How did it affect you?
Traumatic. At first, as I said, there was time to process, but then thanks be to God, on Divine Mercy Sunday, the Lord gifted me with the tears that were necessary tears at that time, and I spent a good part of that Divine Mercy Week with the Lord and with the blessing of tears.
As you know from the Supreme Court leak, it appears the justices will vote to overturn Roe. Do you think that will really have an impact on the number of people that are having abortions?
You know, I don't know, but I do know that our fight has to continue. It goes back to the states, but there's still hearts and minds that need to be changed. And if one baby's being killed, that's one too many.
Absolutely. Father Bill Kuczynski from the Diocese of Wheeling, Charleston in West Virginia. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Christine. God bless you.
A grim milestone for COVID-19 deaths here in the U.S. Flags at the White House were lowered to half staff to mark 1 million deaths nationwide. President Biden used the occasion to again urge Congress to pass additional funding to control the pandemic. While vaccinations have saved millions of lives, health officials say half of all COVID deaths in the U.S. have happened over the past year. North Korea has declared a national emergency after identifying what it claims to be its first ever COVID outbreak. State media say leader Kim Jong-un has ordered a lockdown of all cities in the country. The outbreak could have serious consequences because North Korea has a poor healthcare system and its population of 26 million are believed to be mostly unvaccinated. Thousands gathered in the West Bank on Thursday for a memorial procession honoring the life of an Al Jazeera journalist killed while doing her job. Born in Jerusalem to a Catholic family, Shireen Abu Akleh was fatally shot while covering an Israeli military operation in the West Bank city of Jenin on Wednesday. Israeli officials initially accused Palestinian militants of killing Abu Akleh, but have recently stated that it's unclear exactly who shot her. To the war in Ukraine now, and President Volodymyr Zelensky praising Finland's readiness to join NATO. But a Kremlin spokesperson says if the country joins the alliance, it will be a threat to Russia and create more instability in the region. Moscow says it would have to work out necessary measures to ensure Russia's security. Still to come on Currents News, they were nuptials put on hold, the challenge faced by a couple in California. And an outpouring of love and support for an American hero, how a country came together to celebrate a Tuskegee airman's 100th birthday. The New York Yankees giving a special invite to a young boy who suffered severe burns. 6-year-old Dominic Krenkel suffered 2nd and 3rd degree burns to his face and legs after a burning gas-soaked ball was thrown at him. Police are investigating the cause of his injuries following reports of kids seen playing with gasoline and lighting objects on fire. Dominic was released from Bridgeport Hospital last week and is expected to make a full recovery. And Thursday, he was on the field at Yankee Stadium and even got to play a game of catch. How cool is that? One groom in California was more than an hour late to his wedding, but it wasn't because of cold feet. He was stuck in an elevator along with his groomsmen. And while firefighters did come to the rescue and help the groom make it to the altar, the couple was forced to skip family photos at the church before the reception. And now they're looking for some kind of compensation for the inconvenience.
This was the most important day of our lives, and we missed some of that time that we're not going to ever get back. I don't think we're asking for much. It's just, it was a really at the least, a discount. Nothing major.
The couple says the hotel did offer them a discount on future stays there, but as locals, they say they don't need that. A stressful morning turned into an amazing day for one waitress in Rhode Island after a customer left a generous tip. Last week, Jennifer Venancio, a single mother of 3, was late to work because she had issues finding a babysitter. But after waiting on one couple at work, she was shocked to see what was written on the tip line.
She was like, Kim, someone left me a $600 tip. And I was like, Jen, stop. And I kind of pulled the paper out. I said, well, I have better news for you. It's not $600, it's an $800 tip. I said, so see? And she was like, I'm going to pass out. I'm going to faint.
I love these stories. Jennifer says she never got the couple's name or any information about them, but if they're watching, she says this slice of kindness melted her heart. And here's something else that'll melt your heart. Earlier this month, we told you about a request from one of the last surviving members of the Tuskegee Airmen. He wanted people to mail him birthday cards to celebrate his 100th birthday. And as Temi Tope Adelea reports, he asked and he received.
Thanks for doing a good job.
Card after card. The Butler family has gotten a head start counting the thousands of birthday cards and gifts sent in for retired Sergeant Victor Butler.
People are very, very nice. Counting the cards is amazing.
The World War II veteran turns 100 years old on May 21st. His family estimates about 12,000 cards have been mailed in so far. They've opened the 1,000th one Monday.
I don't think I'll ever get through reading cards.
We received cards from 41 states. And I want to get through all the states. And I think we'll hit that.
His daughter opens them, his wife counts them, and he reads them.
Thank you for your service in the Tuskegee Airmen, World War II.
Each card different than the last. Some hand-drawn from children, some with pictures, and others wanting to see if he's taken.
Whoever was interested in him, well, I'm sorry. He's married, and we are happy.
But some of the most heartwarming apologies from the past.
They will explain that they realize what he went through and they apologize for their ancestors, and that makes you feel good to know that Daddy actually made a change.
Butler was a mechanic with the Tuskegee Airmen. He couldn't fly overseas because he caught the flu. Instead, he stayed back to work on fighter planes.
I enjoyed helping the pilots get in the plane and watching them take off. I enjoyed testing the planes out myself. That was the best part of it.
This beautiful picture from an artist and this red, white, and blue blanket from a quilter are just a few of the many gifts that Mr. Butler has received so far, and he and his family are grateful.
It's been terrific.
That was Temi Tope Adelea reporting. And, you know, if you haven't already sent yours in, there's still time. Butler's big day isn't until May 21st, so you can mail your happy birthday wishes to Victor W. Butler, care of Gary Butler, at P.O. Box 3523 in Cranston, Rhode Island. The zip code there, 02910. I'm going to send mine this weekend. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.